For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. Whosoever believes will not perish, they shall have eternal life. I shall hold.
Without further ado, I want to welcome our dear panelists who will be leading us under the theme, Learning as Pathway to Success. As they move on the stage, I'll be asking you to join your hands with a round of applause to recognize their presence. We have Hubert Hategekimana. He's going outside, but he's coming soon. But we have also Professor Kigabo Thomas. You're welcome, sir, on the panel. Wow. We had only a session of one speaker. Today we have a session of 4 speakers talking to us on the one topic, learning as pathway to any success. Wow. And you have, of course, a moderator. His name is Pastor Ndayizeye, Emmanuel. So we have only 3 questions for our panelists, and we start with Hubert Hategekimana. We have today topic of theme is learning as pathway to success. So we want to explore that topic in deep. And are you guys interested in the topic? Yes. Let's go straight with Hubert Sugira. What is really, when we say learning, what is learning, why learning? We want you explore that concept and relate it to how learning can help us to tap and maximize our potential. Because we are emerging leaders, we want to tap on our potentials and make the most of what God has given us. So we want you to explore why learning.
That is a very, first of all, happy anniversary to iLab. As you said, it popped up on my phone as well that 2 years ago we were having a meeting talking about this, and really seeing 2 years only down the road and seeing what is happening, it's encouraging.
Wow.
As you are saying, now I may be biased, but I think that everything rises and falls on leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks you guys for taking the lead and putting together this kind of platform for the future of our country. As you said, I always make sure to expose my kids to what I want to see in them,
Mm-hmm.
because they learn more than we actually think.
Mm-hmm.
So learning, as she was saying, you never graduate from life.
Mm-hmm.
The day you stop learning is the day you die. Now, many people die before they are actually put into the grave because they stop learning. I think we should change maybe when we graduating people, we should tell them that you actually starting to learn. You have maybe your PhD, but if that's all you know, then you have not any kind of knowledge. And as the Bible says, wisdom is the ultimate. And wisdom is different from knowledge. Wisdom is applied knowledge. And in applying knowledge, you have to experiment. That's why mentorship is very important, because you may have knowledge, you may have understanding, but application is about what others have done and you learn from them. So learning is really acquiring new knowledge, refining what you know, and sometimes coming up with new things. We are here in this room because someone tried different things to be able to come up with the setup we have. So learning for me is this thing we do to improve on what we have. The other day someone asked me what maybe advice I should give to people, and I say, they say do not change something that is not broken. I say break what is working. Do not wait until something is broken to improve on it. You know, one person in the room maybe got it. And that's what we see. For example, you have a phone, it's working perfectly, and before you know it, there is a new iPhone, a new Samsung. Why? They do not wait until things are broken because they keep learning. If you wait until something is broken, then it's too late. Probably that's what happened to Nokia. They had the market, 100%. Nokia, Ericsson, do you remember those phones? Motorola, where are they now? Because they stopped learning. So learning is this only thing that you do when you combine all the ways of doing with new acquired ways and keep improving. Now, that link to my subtitle is how does it improve your potential? Your potential is your unused ability. Potential, by definition, is untapped power. Is what you can do you haven't done yet. And do you know what is amazing? Is God is called God of potential. Omnipotent means omnipotential. God is always full of potential. When you meet God, what you see is nothing compared to what you still can do. And guess what God I'm talking about? I'm not talking about the God Father. I'm talking about God you. Oh gosh. Every time you meet a human being, God is not excited with iLab the last 2 years. God is God who is always looking at what you can do you haven't done yet. And the only way to tap into that potential is by learning. So people who are making it in life are people who are constantly learning. I was watching Bill Gates. And this guy, when he's traveling, the only thing he has in his suitcase are books. Now, you are talking about finances. This guy, for me, he's the wealthiest guy. Because even if we say Bezos is the first one, Bill Gates gives away half of his wealth. And yet, he's still number 2. So it's as if he's trying to get rid of money. But that's another principle, by the way. But this guy, what makes him who he is, he's constantly learning, which means he's always putting his potential to work. Because when you learn, you going into that space of your potential. What can you do you haven't done yet? And I'm challenging everyone. I'm challenging what you have done, things you may be proud of. Maybe that's what God is ashamed of. Because God is seeing what you still can do. Mm-hmm. God is the only one who can seize in a shepherd a king for Israel. Wow. That's why, for example, God will go to people like Jeremiah and say, I'm seeing a prophet. And Jeremiah is like, who are you talking to? He's seeing he's a little boy. God, that's what potential is. And learning is the only connection between a seed and a fruit. Potential is a seed. And no one eats seeds. We do eat fruits. Is there anyone here who get excited when you see a seed of avocado? Yeah. No. Matter of fact, we get rid of it. Now, the only way to go from seed, and God never said be seedful. He said be fruitful, which means the process from a seed to a fruit is learning.
Thank you, Hubert. Are you excited by that? Please, those who are proud of what they have achieved, make sure today you no longer be proud, because God might be ashamed of you. So this is a great highlight. Anyone here wants money? Any here wants money? Okay, Professor Kigabo, you want money. And you have been in universities. And you have been in the iLab the last 2 years. We've been learning. What is it lacking? If learning is a pathway to success and we are not really materializing that money, what is lacking?
That's exactly the answer to the question you have asked me. Just put on, and it will work. Thank you.
Putting on, how putting on? So
you know, that's 2 years of learning.
mm-hmm.
You have theories, and you have started even to have some good results.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to. Your question is, you need money, but it's like you don't have money. And what is lacking? First, I think the experience of Rosine is very, very important. And I was really very happy. You have followed the presentation, you have principles, but I'm very sure that you are not applying what you have taught you here. That's my assumption. Or you are doing it, but not probably at the level of producing what you need to have. I will probably do some exercise calling each of you around midnight and see if you will not be sleeping. That's one. But second, I think, as Rosine said, you need to narrow your kind of a vision, the focus on few things, work very hard, and you will see the product coming from. That's one. So my answer is putting on is kind of putting in practice what you have learned here, because the example is there. Rosine is a good example. And I'm very sure she said she didn't know that she is rich. But probably we need to know exactly what you are saying when you say we need money but we don't have money. She said she was rich, but she didn't know that she was rich. So the knowledge is very, very important. That's another point. Putting on is knowledge. Knowledge about what? About what you can do, and about how you can do it, and about when you have to do it. That's very, very important. To summarize, I think I was just observing people here and saying, I'm very, very, very blessed because you talked about impact. I know Pastor is here. Probably has more impact on the spiritual whatever. But when I saw Professor Bizoza just near me here, that I said, definitely, I like Jesus when he say, don't talk, but show the result. The result. This is my result. So,
wow.
I'm responding to your question. Putting on. I know this man. I've been working for 24 hours, 7 days. Sometimes I call him, my friend, can you switch off this time and the rest? But my contribution this evening is I'm not so sure that you are working hard. I know many of you, you have problems. You don't work. You are just lazy. Probably, I know Pastor can't tell you that you are lazy because you know to protect your spiritual life. Bizoza probably will not tell you that you are very lazy because he's young like you. But for me, I don't have nothing to protect. I have to tell you the truth. You putting on is working hard. Not just calling us for dinner. Dinner we can pay the food. But call us to show us what you have achieved by working hard. You have all material, you have knowledge, you have input, you have everything. What is lacking is really working hard.
Thank you, Professor. Have you understood that you have to narrow things? By the way, Pastor Didier also said that when you try to do everything, you end up committed to nothing. So, and he emphasized that, by the way, that we have to narrow things and do a few things, but put all the efforts there. And then next time, we'll be having a great presentation of what we have achieved, not for dinner. So this is a great recommendation. Then, Professor Bizoza, you are the academician, and you taught about career. And do you remember what he said about our promised land? He said what you are passionate about is your promised land. And my question now, as we are tackling about learning as a pathway to any success, does really your promised land need the ingredients from learning? Or when you have got what you are passionate about and you pursue it, it's just automatic, you get success? Or learning also can play a role in that what you are passionate about?
Thank you very much. Let me also acknowledge the audience and also acknowledge the consideration to invite us for this celebration of 2 years. Let me come back to your question. In fact, we have said it. There is what we call passion, but there is also the need to learn. Learning, if you look at the word learn, it starts with the letter L. L means listening. You need to listen first. You can learn so that you listen to what people say, what knowledge is provided, what skills you need, so that you can be able to capture your promised land. Let me use that word as you mentioned. I normally also say that learning is a process. Since it is a process, you need to choose what to learn in that process, because you may not continue learning and learning without knowing what choice of knowledge do you need. Let me bring this into different perspective. There is a lot to learn, but you need to choose what you need to learn. And that is mostly linked to what you need and what is your passion. What are you looking for? Though my professor is a professor, but he doesn't know everything. There is a very specific area that he knows. And he's good on that particular area. Someone else will be also good on that particular area. That comes also to the linkage of the point of narrowing. And I can go a little bit further. Why do we have to narrow? You need to narrow so that you can have a rare product, a rare service, which is not common. In other words, there is a lot that is known by many people, but you need to narrow down and say, what is the knowledge that is lacking that I need to create, which will also create in turn my identity and also the service that I need to provide, which service people will come to look after. They will come to look you because there is a specific knowledge you have, which is rare. Rare means which is valuable more than what is already available on the market. Thank you.
Yeah, coming back to you again, we know footballers, they are successful, they are making much money because they are really talented and they have passion for football. Can you really prove that learning has contributed?
Sure. Because even the footballers, they don't get born when they are footballers. They have to go through a certain process of training, coaching. Though I'm not a good footballer and I'm not a fan of football, but I know that in everything, I may disappoint many of you, but I know that they have to learn first. And they have to invest more time in learning on how to become the best of the footballers they can. So the learning still continues to the and builds us in the passion. Let me come to that point, because most of the challenge we have is that we do learn things because other people have learned them. You may even find that we parents, we would tend to influence our children to do things that we did already. You need to do mathematics because I also did mathematics. A child who is not doing well in mathematics, he seems to be lazy. But he may not be good in mathematics, but be good in arts. What is needed is to find what is the passion that is, what is the hidden seed that my brother talked about that is in that particular person, so that you can really make it flourish, so that he can reach or she can reach what is intended to do.
It means that talent alone is not enough.
It's not enough. You need to learn, and you need to shape it. And how do you shape it? You shape it by learning, and also learning the specific knowledge and skills that you are looking for to make that talent more a gift to your country or to your nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for appreciating our dear panelists. For your information, we are sitting with the mentee of Ret, Miles Munro. Do you know Miles Munro? Yeah, Hubert Sugira is his mentee. If you follow him on Facebook, you will see many pictures with Ret Miles Munro. And Ret Miles Munro say that love cannot sustain a relationship, a marriage, but understanding and knowledge makes all the difference. Today we are honored to be with a pastor who talked to a couple seminars, and most of the seminars that we attend, they emphasize love. But today we are on the topic that learning, it can be a pathway to any success, including the marriage and including any relationship. Can you really emphasize why really learning can contribute, or you can oppose what Miles Munro said? Thank you.
Thank you. Learning in relationships. First of all, let me appreciate the invitation you extended to me. Thank you so much. Emmanuel, I have a cough, but I said I should come because I do appreciate the initiative of iLab. To me, when I see you, I see your age, the drive you have, I feel you can achieve great things. But as my colleagues have said, there is a need for work and hard work. So I really thank you so much for this initiative, and this shows and proves that you're trying to use your full potential. Now, I liked what my colleague said. You're talking about Miles Munro. He said once he was always the first of the class. And one day he went back home, first of the class, 80%. And his father said, Miles, I'm not happy about your achievements. He said, what, Dad? I'm the first of the class. I'm excellent. I've got 80%. He said, no, you can do better. You can do better. You can get better. I think, to add to what my colleagues have all said, you can do better. And that should be the first initiative which should drive everything you do. The Bible says something very interesting. You know, you have to hunger and thirst for righteousness. Equally, if you are in the domain of development, you have always to hunger and thirst for reaching the highest level possible in whatever you're doing. So just to start by that. And with regards to relationships, learning, it's critical. It's critical. You're just reminding me, in a couple, when you want to marry, it's really amazing. Young people are not well prepared these days. You know, when you want to get a driver's license, you take lessons of driving. And there is a test for driving. But when you want to marry, sometimes you just meet a lady or a gentleman, you love him, then you decide overnight to marry. And you're going to live with this person forever. So there is need for preparation. There is need to learn for those who have been married for ages. You need to learn to know the person you're going to marry. That's why when the first time we met, I spoke to you about some of the principles or some of the things you might not think about, but which you will probably see and be surprised of. I mentioned something like all couples have problems. I mean, I said that because before I got married, now I have 32 years of marriage, I never thought I would ever have a problem with my wife. I thought I was going to live in heaven. I love her. I'm committed to do everything she wants. And she loves me. I was burning just to have her beside me, and I thought we would be in heaven. But what has happened, because we've been educated at different places, we lived in different circumstances, the genes, what we've inherited from parents, we are totally different. The way we think, the way we do things. It's therefore important, before you engage in a deep relationship, you need to know on which ground you're walking. Otherwise, you may be caught in mud. So equally, when you want to engage in marriage, first of all, please think about knowing the person you're going to marry. Don't just look at the cover. Don't look at the face. Try to discover what is behind the face. And so I can't elaborate on that, but it's so complicated to the point that even the person you want to marry might have things which he does not know about. You know, in a human being, there are things we know other people do not know. There are things other people know about you, you do not know. But God knows it all. So can you imagine now you marry someone, she can tell you or he can tell you how she is, what she likes, but there is a hidden face, something she does not even know herself about, but which can be translated into her actions once you're together. She's been educated in a family with maybe an authoritarian parent, and there are some of the feelings she has never been able to express in an environment where she's the master. Now she comes home, she has that inside her. Maybe a psychologist can help us on that. And then once she gets room to expand and say and do what she wants, you will surprisingly find things which you would never thought she has. So that's why in a relationship, it's important. Before engaging, before entering the marriage, you need to know your partner. So there is a long list of things you need to do. You need to talk to the person. You need to ask him. You need to, every single question. You can ask, what are your weaknesses? As if he is in an interview. What do you think? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you like? What you don't like? Or I think you know about the 5 love languages. What's your love language? Do you know the 5 love languages? It's amazing. Before I learned that, I did not know the language of my wife. Her love language. Her love language is gifts. That's why the very first time when I came from travel, she met me at the airport. She gave me flowers. I took the flowers, sat in the car. I forgot. I ended up, standing on the flowers in the car, reached home. She was very disappointed. Because her love language is flowers. She likes gifts. I don't like gifts. It's okay. But that's not my love language. My love language is quality time. Like now, I'm enjoying this. We can sit and talk and discuss. That's my love language. So, because I know her love language is gift, then I'll make sure all the time, if I want to make her happy, I'll bring a gift to her. And if she gives me a gift, I'll take it and show her that it's very precious to me. Let me end by telling you a story why you need to learn to know your partner or your fiancé or your potential husband or wife to become. One day on my anniversary, she gave me a Bible. I have many Bibles, as all pastors. I have Bibles in English, in French, in Kinyarwanda, all the versions and dimensions. I have big ones, I have small ones. And she gave me another type of Bible. I was very happy, thank you. And that day, incidentally, I went to the neighboring village, and I was sharing the word of God with people. That's my job. That's what I do. Said, oh, thank you. He repented, and he said, oh, really, I feel I love the Lord. So can I have a Bible?
Now, we want to be practical now. Those were like theories. Professor Kigabo said he is not sure that you are working hard. And Hubert said we have seed that we have to work on it to make it fruits. Those are theories. Now we want that those panelists help us to be practical. Because when I was turning 31, I'm 31, I was reflecting the last 30 years, and I did a series on Facebook. And the second part of the series, I did 10 parts. And the second part of my series, when I was reflecting on my life, I put on the picture. Those who follow me on Facebook have seen someone with many, many ladders, but who could not really look where he wants. It means you can have a lot of resource and just suffer and lack what you want while you have resource. So now, you have inspired us. You have been through the learning for the last 2 years. We are still really struggling. And I was also wondering why I have been reading motivational books. I've been reading the Bible. I've been praying. And I was asking myself, why really? What really is lacking? So now, I don't know if they will give me the right answer or you yourself the right answer, but I'm always in the quest to know how practical these things can be. Now, this part, I want to ask our panelists to help us to be practical. We are going to start with Professor Bizoza. Running is very important. It is a linkage from the passion to the success. Now, why really do we fail? Why really do we fail to do that? We really love it. That's why we are here. Why do we fail?
Thank you very much. That's a very important question, to know everyone's reasons of failing. But I don't accept that you have failed. Maybe you don't know your level of success or the extent to which you want to succeed as well. But let me talk about two aspects. And this is an inspiration I got like a month ago when we were in a conference with the World Bank panelists talking about the economic growth of Africa, then trying to talk about the drivers of growth in Africa. Then we came to the point that I was asking them, why do Africa remain the way it is, and yet we have a lot of resources? That can also be applied to the audience or to the generation that we are trying to impact. I came up with two aspects to consider. One is the attitude. The second one is the value. Let me elaborate a bit. The attitude that you have will determine whether you need to succeed or not. The attitude you have will determine whether you need to make a change or not. So until you feel that there is something to change, then you'll be able to change it. So there are people who have an attitude which is very passive. Passive means you are content of the things the way they are, things the way they are, and how people are. You think that there is no room to change, there is no room to improve. And yet, whoever is here and whatever level you are, you still have another version of your greatest. What does it mean? You still have another room to improve on your capabilities, to improve on who you are and who you want to become. Now, the attitude you have vis-a-vis to any change that you need will determine whether you are going to succeed or not. There are people who have also an attitude which is reactive. You just react on everything that comes on, rather than having an attitude that is very proactive, thinking beyond what you see, try to foresee certain circumstances that you need to change. There are people who have an attitude which is very pessimistic, saying that is not possible. There are even people who have failed, but you don't know why they failed. Why should you think that you can also fail? So that's number one. Issue of attitude that you have before the situation that you need to face. The other aspect is the value. What do you value? How do you value your time? The time is very limited. Though we have 24 hours, you can still make 24 hours to become 48 hours. So why do you consider that you have only 24 hours? There is a way to turn 24 hours into 48 hours. That means that brings the element of efficiency. The way I used 30 minutes to produce a certain result, I can use 15 minutes to produce the same result. That means I can produce twice. So the issue of efficiency and how you value your time or the resources you have is very important. I've seen you talked about the value of integrity. These are the values, of course, integrity, excellency, but these are outcomes. But the process matters a lot. What makes you to be more integral? What makes you to be more excellent? You cannot sit and say, I'm dreaming to become excellent. It's by working hard, as Professor mentioned, that will make you more excellent. I'm glad because he taught me. When they are teaching, and I also do the career of teaching, when you are teaching students, what you see beyond them is to succeed. But what they normally see is to fail. Let me repeat, yeah. So when I'm teaching my students, they see immediately that they are going to fail my course. That's what comes first. If you don't learn well, you are going to fail his course. But when I'm teaching them, my anticipated outcome is to see them succeeding, having 20 out of 20. So you can see how people appreciate things differently. So what I'm trying to bring in is that the value, the attitude matters a lot, and nothing will happen without working hard. The Bible says, in every labor, there is profit. So you cannot get a profit without working. And the manna comes during the 40 years in the desert, but still it will come after 40 years, but after working hard. It doesn't mean that the manna has expired or it is finished. God will still bring your manna, but in what we are doing, not in the desert.
Thank you very much. Actually, he mentioned that Professor Kigabo taught him, and I came to love this panel because Professor Bizoza taught me. So I'm the grandson of Professor Kigabo. So I'm really impressed how even we are sitting, it's chronological. So father, son, and grandson. So I love it. So Hubert, we are now going to practical things. So thank you for the aspect of attitude and value that Professor Bizoza has raised. Now, you've told that we have to cultivate on the seed. And this is not the first time. Even the last time you said it, that God will not ask you what He didn't give you. He has already given you a seed, but He is asking you to be fruitful. Now, what really shows that you are making a progress? So you have been under Miles Munro, you have learned a lot. What is really showing that you are making a progress? So that we are not only thinking that we are failing. So what really can show us who are really passionate about learning that you are making a progress?
Thank you very much. That was a very good thing that he said. You're not failing because everything in life is what you think it is. And that's probably one of the lacking link for us, especially people who have been oppressed, as we did. I'm talking about Africa. The oppressor had made sure that we thought less of us, and he did not have to stay longer. That was enough. He have built that thinking of, we are not enough. We whatever we're doing, and that's very dangerous. Because nothing in life is what it is. Everything is what you think it is. That's why the Bible says that as a man thinketh his mind, so he is. Nothing is really what it is. Everything is what you think it's going to be. And if you think you're failing, guess what? The universe is built in a way that whatever you think, the universe have to make sure you get it. You know, and sometimes I love what he just said. The attitude is that belief system. The attitude is a result of our belief system. And many times we think we're failing. And the result of our thinking, we should check our belief system first before we even tackle. He was talking about how they had this meeting about where Africa is not advancing. I think there is one verse that we need, and maybe when the next time you go, you make sure that this is printed. The Bible says that the one who works his field has plenty of bread. In Africa, we don't work our field. We sell it. I am in love with Africa. Because I have come to realize, and especially in Rwanda, I think we have this big problem of not thinking correctly. Let me explain myself. The reason we're not getting the result we want to see is because we keep seeing the raw material as bread. That's why in Rwanda we keep complaining that we do not have a lot beyond under our ground. Because in our mind, we need to sell it. God said the one who works his ground have plenty of food. In Africa, what we do, we take our raw material and we sell it to those who are going to work it and sell it as back with profit, and they make money. The one day we're going to change that. And I'm glad we have a member of our government in our midst. The day Rwanda stops seeing our mountains and rocks as lack of materials, but start looking at it as this is our field. How do we transform this? Now, on your personal level, what do you have in hands? What is your raw material? And that's where learning comes in. Is the first learning you should do is learning who you are, understanding who God created you to be. Get to understand what is my strength, weaknesses, because that's part of who you are. Do you know, a lot of people do not know who they are. And that's why he was even talking about marriage. The first person you should learn and study and put time aside to get a PhD from is understanding yourself. A lot of people do not know who they are. When you ask them, who are you? They say, I'm a doctor. That's not who you are. That's what you do. I'm a pastor. I was saying the other day, I do not call myself a pastor unless I'm pastoring. That's one of the things I do. But that's not who I am. Jesus was saying, I'm the bread of life. People were like, what do you mean? You are an Israelite. He was like, no, that's where I was born. You have to understand who you are. You have to understand what you have. The minute you understand what you have in hands, including your weaknesses. Now, this is one of the things I have come to realize. When God is going to use a person, he rarely go to him in his strength. And that was a problem with Moses. Moses, his argument was, hey, I can't speak. God was like, no. Who made you to be who you are? God was telling him, I made sure when I was creating you, you lacked speech. Because that's exactly what I'm going to use. So you have to understand, you have to study yourself. And unfortunately, the society we live in does not encourage us to know who we are. Because the society, the system is built in a way that we are molded. You know, everybody's doing the same thing. And I loved what I think, I'm not sure if it was you who said, what are you doing differently? What is unique in what you're doing? Because that's what gives you value on the market. iLab, that's good. That's fine. What are you doing differently? What should someone attend your church as a church leader? What is unique to you? What is unique to your bank? What is unique to your business? What is unique to your baking business? Now, all of those things will come to you the minute you understand who you are. And that's what learning is very important. Now, let me finish by answering the question you asked him, because I love football. Do you know the best athletes we have are not the ones who are born with that thing? Cristiano Ronaldo is probably the one who works the most among anyone. In basketball, I heard, I was seeing how Kobe Bryant will be the first one at the training and the last one to leave. Because training is what made them who they are. It's not their raw material. Again, a lot of people are sitting on their seeds. No one does eat seeds. We eat fruits. So in everything you do, learn who you are and study, how do I perfect what I do? What is unique to you as a person in your agriculture business? What is this unique thing? And I dream the day where our country will know what to do with these rocky mountains. And that day, we will not have to borrow any cent. We will be giving money.
Amen.
That day, I hope it will be during my lifetime. Because the other day I was driving from Kibuye to Kigali, and I cried the whole 2.5 hours. I was like, God, what is these rocky mountains? What are we supposed to do with them? Mm-hmm. What are we supposed to build out of them? Instead of complaining that we do not have oil. My favorite, we have to understand as a people. Now I'm challenging each and everyone. What do you have in your hands? Go back in your life and study what God have given you. And when you cultivate that thing, when you work on that thing, I'm telling you, I will see you at the top.
Thank you very much. Wow, that's great. I was actually thinking that he will give us something, tangible that will show that we are making progress. But when you stop complaining, then you are making a progress. And when you are researching yourself.
I didn't answer the question. That's right.
But I got
now,
the
let me give you one short answer to that. Progress only depends on the destination. When you don't know where you're going, any route will take you there. How do you know you're making progress? It will only depend on what you had in mind was your destination, and then you can compare. Success is not doing more than compared to others. That's, again, my thing is we're making progress when you're measuring where you're at compared to where you want to be. You have to first go back and say, this is where I'm going. And then that's the only way you can know if you're making progress. Because you can go around, make turns, using resources, but you're not going anywhere.
Thank you.
And you think you're making progress.
Thank you. Actually, the point was when you understand who you are, and obviously you know where you're going, and you can't complain because you know where you're going, and definitely you are making a progress. Thank you very much for that wonderful answer. Yeah, he said that you become pastors when we are pastoring. And it might be offensive for me and Pastor Gakwaya because we love those titles. Now on our panel, we have a pastor. And the word of God say that my people perish because of ignorance. So what really God wanted to mean was that my people perish because they don't know much sciences or they don't know much of God. So want to again, because when we're exploring the concept of learning, that verse kicks. So want to understand, you are pastor, God's language. What God really wanted to mean when he said we are perishing because of lack of knowledge was the knowledge of science, the knowledge of economics, or the knowledge of him. Tell us. Yeah.
Thank you. By the way, in my church, they don't, say I'm a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
They say John Gakwaya. And because I'm a brother.
So it means that the title, I remain only with the title. Okay.
No,
Don't me call again pastor. I'm Emmanuel.
I have been ordained, get me right, I've been ordained, but pastor, I don't take that as a title, just to boast to say I'm a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a brother. So call me John Gakwaya. So pastor, sometimes it's used to as a mean to show that you're superior to others who are not, which I don't like. Actually, I don't like hierarchy. I'm sorry. So that's me.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for the question. My people are perishing because of lack of knowledge. And there is no better way one can say that. If you look, I think the President of the Republic has said it once, when he said, I see all these Christians every Sunday who go to church. But the end result has been 94. People were killed. We had genocide against Tutsis. How come, if 90% of the population of Rwanda are Christians, how come these people were killed by others? So, and this is the biggest challenge I've ever had in my life as a pastor. Let me use the word. In my church, everywhere you go for preaching, I'm always I sometimes feel I should hide. I don't. Because I need to understand us all, and I've been doing, not really a research as such, but I've been thinking over and over, how can we in churches or in our midst as Christians, you guys, myself, reach the level of applying what we pretend we believe? What is the missing link? Why don't we walk the talk? What is the missing link? I came to realize, I'll tell you a short story. I'm not going to be long this time. I'll tell you a short story, and I'll conclude. Recently, I refurbished my house and bought a new washing machine from Dubai. Washing machine. Then, I've used the washing machines many times. Brought my clothes, put them into the washing machine, put soap, turned the washing machine on. Then it started spinning and la 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 la. Instead of washing my clothes, when it was spinning, actually the washing machine was had vibrations and hitting the wall. And I started thinking, what's wrong with this washing machine? So I brought in a builder, let's try to put nails into the tiles and fix it so that it doesn't keep agitating and hitting the wall, because otherwise it's going to break up or break the wall of my house. I tried, it didn't work. Then I started thinking, what's wrong with this washing machine? What happened? It's brand new. And then I had somebody coming in my house to repair something, and he looked at the washing machine. I had put nails beside to fix it, not to be agitated. And he said, "This is a washing machine new." I said, "Yeah." So why have you put this here? I said, "It's this washing machine. I don't know what's the problem with the washing machine. Is it demon possessed or what?" And then he said to me, "You know, sir, I know someone from the West who had the same thing, the same problem. And what he did, he asked us, actually, this is a joke, but this is reality what he said. His cook to come and sit on the washing machine because it was making too much vibrations. But it didn't work either. He told me, it's really simple. There are bolts in behind, they are fixed so that the inside parts of the washing machine during transport, they might not move inside. So you have to undo just to take off the bolt behind, and the washing machine will work." I said, "What?" So he said, "Do you have the package? You have the user manual?" So I brought, he said, "Look, this is the tool you use to undo the bolts behind." He did that, and the washing machine started working properly. And I didn't have any more problems. What this taught me. Just think a little bit. All of you have phones. Do you know all the options in your phones? You bought it, you have the user manual, you never look at it. You know how to use it, you just use it, go on. You have many options you never use. You have plenty of information you don't use, and you claim you know. If you ask me, "Do you know how to use your iPhone?" I would say, "Yeah." I don't know until I look into all the options and know deeply how it's made. If I hesitate on something, I go to iPhone and ask. They tell me. The problem we have today, people do not know the Word of God. They don't read the Bible. No. I think most of you went to university. I remember when I was in the first year in university, I studied science. We had a big syllabus of chemistry. It had more than, I think, 400, 1,000 pages. I'm telling you, we studied it. But reading the Bible has become a problem. Now, how do you want to know God and apply His word if you do not know the content? No. You can't. I'm so sorry to say that. You can't. People talk about salvation. People know about their churches, their religions. This morning I was preaching, I was asking people, what is salvation? Salvation is about not sinning, not committing adultery, not drinking. No, that's not salvation. Salvation is the change of your mind. The change of mind and the change of your pattern of thinking, and agree to be led by God entirely. It's the change of your mind. It's not about, those are the fruits. But people in churches, we are taught to be a good Christian, to be approved by God, you have to please Him. You have to read the Bible. You have to pray. You have to go to church. That's the way you please God. No! Wrong! You are not pleasing God. But you please God by keeping His relationship and loving Him, and this becomes automatic. The Bible is really clear, 100%. 100%. But we don't read the Bible. We don't read the Bible. I challenge you. You claim you love the Lord. When I was listening to my colleagues here, intellectuals, they were saying really things with a lot of knowledge. And I really admire, your interventions. But do you know one thing? Sometimes I do understand many things with my brain. I do understand. And that's what the churches now start doing, and that's what the pastors do. You know what the pastors do? We come, we preach, we explain people using our intelligence of how things should work, and people do understand. We explain things at 3 levels. We explain how to use our brain well. That's what you are doing. we explain how to use our emotions in a proper way. And we explain how to use our will. Most of the preachings, it's about that. All the preachings is about brain, intellect, it's about emotions, it's about your will. But we sometimes forget the essential, which is the Holy Spirit, who comes in when nothing works. When nothing works. I mean, if we were to apply the lessons Professor has given us, would be very prosperous. You know, I have that knowledge. You know, I've learned lessons about leadership, about finances, about so and so. I mean, my head is big like this. But how much do I apply that? You know why? Because you're just trying to look for power and energy from yourself. But we have a good God who is over and above everything. That's why we can draw this energy and they know how to apply. He's the one to provide us with wisdom. I'm sure you have a lot of knowledge. You even have a lot of understanding. But sometimes we lack wisdom. Wisdom is about judgment of the things and how we apply those. And only God can provide us with wisdom. Dear friends, let me tell you one thing. All these things, especially your intellectuals, and the way you are structured, people who make presentations are very smart guys. I've been in many seminars, in many training courses, in many, last time I was writing my CV, long. What haven't I heard? I've heard a lot. I've learned a lot. But when it comes to application, the missing link is to know we have a God. And the purpose of my life can only found in his word. That's where I can draw from to know who I am and where I'm going to, where I'm heading to, and what should be my attitude and what God desires from me. He knows it all. And my user manual should be the Bible, where I read and get that knowledge I'm saying, and then pray and call upon God. Say, God, I understand all these things. But when it comes to applying, I don't reach the level of really doing it. Why? Come and help me. And let's be humble and confess, Lord, we still lack of many things. Wisdom. Thank you.
Say amen to that. This was really a good and perfect sermon for today. This is Sunday. Thank you, Pastor. The very last question goes to Professor Kigabo, because you had actually 3 parts, and this was the second part, but the third part, I had to omit it because of time, and we give favor to some few people, but this will be the last question for the panelists. When you taught us in March, you said about your age, and I realized you are 25 years than me. And you were talking about money, and I want money. So, is really Professor Kigabo wealthy? Do you have money, you? So, because if I want to have money in 25, I have to make sure the one who is 25 older than me has money. So, if you really have money, does really what you expected when you dreamed about having money matched with now as you have money? So if you consider yourself...
the answer, yes, I have money. Now.
Okay, if you consider yourself wealthy, as we always aspire to be wealthy, it didn't come by accident as you talked. Being wealthy is not a joke, it's a choice. So it means if now you are wealthy, you made the choice to be wealthy. And now you are wealthy. So when you were pursuing wealth, where you were dreaming to have wealth, you had expectation when I'll be having money, this will happen. So now you have money. What you expected is what really you saw.
Okay. First, let me give a small contribution on the question about failing. And this will help me to also give you the answer. When colleagues were talking, trying to respond to your question about why people fail, I ask myself, when at what stage we conclude that we have failed? That's a very important question. You have a project, you work on it, you have expectations. At the end of the project, nothing is coming out. And say, oh, I've failed. So my contribution is probably you have not failed when you have completed the project. You have failed even before starting the project. I think this is very, very important. So the success, for me to be honest with you, failing is not a big deal for me. I was about to ask a pastor, I don't know how the heaven will be, but I like life with challenges. Challenges means you fail today and tomorrow you succeed. Suppose you succeed every day. This is not a good life. I think so. It will make you lazy. You need to fail if you really need to succeed. That's very important. Second, you need to, why people fail and why others succeed. I think it's about what do you need? What is your objective? The definition of what you need. As you rightly said, when I started to work, the objective was not to have money. Even today, I don't have any objective of accumulating money. Money for what?
That was my question.
Do you know money? But I need to have money because it's a tool of helping me to achieve more important objectives. That's very important. I can say in next 2 years, I need to pay school fees for 20 orphans. And I don't have money today. But I will work very hard, have money, be able to achieve my objective. So the money has to be seen as a tool, a way of achieving the objective. But if you work to have money, you will never have money. Even if you have billion and a billion, you will continue to say, I have 1 billion US dollar. John have 1 billion plus 1. So I need to have the plus 1 also. So that's the answer. And you can understand why, even if I can say I have money today, I don't have much money because what I need to achieve with money is very big. That's the answer. The last point of my intervention is, you young people, you need to work. I have to repeat it. I have to repeat it. Don't just call us here and give us dinner. Yes, we'll enjoy dinner. Let me be brief so that you have time for dinner. But I'm working on a research project for the last 6 months. I need to be practical, and this will probably help you. I did very hard work. Sometimes I can be in the office up to 10 p.m. And the young people like you, my colleagues, at 5, they are just leaving the office. Say, oh, Prof, are you still in your office? Yes. Probably we leave the office at 10 p.m. You old man. I told them I'm not old. I told them I'm less young, so that my memory will not have this information that I'm old. I'm not old. I'm less young, just less young. So, you less young, but 10 p.m. working on a project for what? So, do you understand? People fail before even starting working. And when the pastor was talking about marriage, you need to avoid to copy and paste. That's again, I'm trying to answer to your question, why people fail. Sometimes we just copy and paste. We need to copy. That's very important. But have special paste. Do you know how to use the computer?
I love it.
Copy, but you have a special paste. You have talked about 7 or 10 language of love. I don't know even this language. But I have a very good family. I'm very happy with my wife. I can tell you, I have a very good family. So what I'm saying is, don't have the list of 7 or 10 languages. Oh, I need to use this language. You will fail. And that's what the pastor was telling you. Learning. So that's one. I'm trying to bring you to the real life. That's it. 56 years of experience of your in this life. So you need to learn. You need to copy. You need to special paste. Means you need to understand your own environment, your own context. So now, when I'm still working on the project, I have realized that I can't estimate my equation because I don't know how to use the software. I have not learned that software. R. It's now some. So, but in my office, I have a young man. He's just from a master's program. He's my staff. Not really my staff, very far from me. But I say, this man knows more than me. I'm giving you the secret of succeeding. You need to have strategy. And you need to be humble. And I called the man and say, do you know this software? He said, yeah, I know this very well. But because I have avoided to tell him, he's a small man. Tell him, can you teach me the software? Teaching at a professor, it's not correct. How a small man will come and teach a professor? Teaching him how? I said, now, I'm going to put you in the team of the project so that we'll work together. So the man has interest. And I tell him, I'm developing theory, I have data, and you will be running the model. So when he ran the model, I had all results. And I was just say, how have you had this? Just trying to explain me and to learn. So we have produced good results. We are going to have money from the project. But it was very difficult for me to interpret one result. And I went, you people, you have internet. Rwanda, we have everything. Google. I went to Google and said, how do we interpret this? I saw some people who have done the same in other countries. I wrote to them. Don't say, I have a project, but if you don't give these stories and the details. So, okay, I read your paper, but the way you have interpreted your result here, you try to, it's like you are challenging them, but not really challenging them. And yesterday I got the answer from them saying, oh, you know how to interpret this? It's this. And tomorrow I will finalize my project.
Wow.
So you need to know what you need, and you need to be humble. If you don't know, just admit and learn from others. But strategically. That's very, very important. Thank you.
I want again to appreciate really our dear panelists. And I can't wait actually to watch this because you were learning. I was asking. Actually, I need to sit again and learn from them. So we really appreciate you. Join me again to appreciate them as they join their seats. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you very much.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, Whosoever believes will not perish.